And we will just slowly start moving till everyone arrives. Let's start standing up and start with the spinal rolls, bringing the chin to the chest. Roll into your spine, let the arms be heavy. When the head is down, start reaching up with the head, arch on the way up. See if you can see the wall behind. Then we go back down. We'll do 3 circles in each direction. See if you can stay in the same part of your foot, no matter where you are in your spinal movement. After your 3 repetitions, rounding on the way down, we want to reverse it. So on the way down, you keep the head up, you arch, you lead with the heart. And on the way up, you round through the spine. This time, take the arms with you, reach forward, arch, and then let the hands drag on the floor as you roll up. One last time. Big circle over the side, reach up, lean with your heart, and round on the way. Come into a standing position and do circles around yourself to mobilize your hips, your shoulders, your head. Be as sloppy as you want. It's just warming up and feeling how the body feels today, other direction. And then let the movement fade out. Get both of your hands to your ribs and try to move the ribs in a tiny circle. Keep the hips in the same place. The shoulders do move a bit, but try to just feel the rib cage slightly going forward to the side and back. Circle a couple times each direction. Nice. Then get the hands to the hips. Try to just circle the hips. Change direction. And then get your toe onto the mat, circle on your foot into the knee and hip. Other direction. And then we change the foot. And get the feet a bit wider. As you reach the arms up, you squat. As you press to straight, you leave the arms hanging down. Let's do 5. You go only as low as your knee is happy. The knee is tracing over your foot. And the next one, stay down. Shimmy the hips from side to side. Same idea here. You only go as far as you feel good. You can also come onto the heels. Get a little more out of this. And get both knees down. Walk your hands forward on your fingertips. We try to do a few arch and curl movements for the spine here as well. You want to lead with the heart, reach forward and round as you press into the floor. And then find the neutral position. Let the head and neck hang. Imprint that picture into your body. This is a straight alignment for your back, shoulders, hips. And then walk yourself back into a plank. In your plank, try to find that same alignment as you shift forward and back. If it is okay for your feet, you can roll all the way over the feet to flex and point the toes. You also shouldn't go much further with your wrists. But depending on your floor, this might be okay on your ankles or not. And then bring yourself all the way down, sitting down on your heels. reaching the hands in front, making a round circle shape with the arms. As you inhale, open, bring the arms back. 2 more like that. Round, inhale, look up and arch. 1 more like that. And then lay all the way down onto the floor. The arms reach forward over the side. We flip the hands, go towards the sacrum and the hands touching, but not touching your hands down. We want to work that rotation of our shoulder. The head and neck in one line with the spine. If it's too heavy to lift, you can also place the forehead down on your mat. Try to make an effort to keep the arms a bit higher than your shoulder height. Really work that rotation. If you have the head down on the mat, try not to push so much in it that you use the shoulders. Nice. Then get your hands underneath the shoulders. We do 2 circles over your right side, through center, left, back down to the ground. There's no need to come really high, still spinal movement. After 2, you just switch to the other side. You can scan the whole room. And then come onto your elbows, forearm, feet tucked or on your pointed toes. Engage from the belly. Try to find your forearm plank. Hold for 3, 2, 1. All the way back down. Roll over onto your left side. Make sure shoulders, hips, feet, everything in one line. If this is enough, feel free to stay there. If you want more, you can come onto the arms, onto the arm. A little higher, you want to get the QL stretch. You want to involve the shoulder, you can push and sink into the shoulder up and down. And take a moment to come back to center. And then switch to the other side. Same idea, align the body first. If you want to come higher, come higher. Make this more about creating space between the ribs and the hips, then going up and down. Yes. Bring it all the way back. Let's turn all the way onto our backs. I want to do some spinal articulation here as well. Let's see that you can touch your heels as you lift up. Before you lift up, I want the whole lower back on the mat, so it feels like the pelvis is moving towards my chest. And then I roll up 1 vertebra at a time. Same on the way down. I try to ground the mid section of the spine, going slowly to the lower back. On the lowest point, I let the pelvis tilt forward. And then 1 more time. Lower back to the ground, lift, push into the feet. Same reverse. 1 vertebra at a time. And then pelvis can create an arch. Last one. Just want to be able to move our whole spine. It's very useful for our handstands. And find a moment to just lay down. Let's get both of the feet up, arms overhead. Try to get with your hands towards your feet. Open. The feet stay on the height of the hips. It's not the feet and the hands coming closer. It's the feet stay on the height of the hips. I try to reach up and forward to really use the compression of the ribs and spine. Two more. And then bend your knees. Take a little momentum to come back up and find your tabletop. Your tabletop, just walk your hands around for a moment. Especially if you haven't used your hands today, just use that time to open each direction, your fingers, your forearms. Feel free to come into the back of the hand as well. Move your elbows side to side. Really see what your body needs today. And I'm going to come a bit closer so you can see the next one a bit better. I want to go one more time to the shoulders. If I'm reaching my right arm up, I put my left hand on my ribs. As I'm moving out to the side and all the way up, I really want to keep the ribs down and the push up. See if your hand and your shoulders are in one line. And depending if you have bent elbows or straight elbows, the side angle should also look straight. My elbows are just different. The last one, keep it up. Try to find the full extension. Feel how the lat gets really nice and long. Then bring the hand to the front. Now, bring myself diagonal. From the ribs, we go to the chest. The hand is flexed and we try to push forward from the chest. So if I have my hand on my chest, I should feel that that muscle is active when I'm pushing forward. Let's try to do 3 to 5 pushes here as well. And let's go to the other side. Start with the arm up, pull the ribs down because it's way more tempting when the arm is lifted that the ribs lift. So create that nice shape. Go from the side, and every time you reach up, you feel the elongation of the shoulder and the pulling down of the rib. See if you can find that nice back line of the shoulder instead of hanging out in the front. It's way easier if the shoulder is fully open to use it from the back and try to push up. And try just to try when the hand is slightly forward, my shoulder is kind of blocked in the push. But if I'm open the whole way and then reach up and push at the top, I have a lot more push to give. Same again with the chest, hand to the chest, hand is flexed, hands in position. Try to activate that chest muscle by finding the lats, pushing forward, the rotation. And it's not a twist, it's really just the shoulder pushing out. Shoulder pushing out with the help of the chest. Nice. Okay, enough anatomy for today. Let's do one more mobilization. Bend your arm, go to the triceps. And then here you can also roll a bit forward and back or to the side. We just want to use the tricep stretch to also opening the rib cage. Little half circles, twist. And same on the other side. Start with the length. See if the side feels any different. And release. Roll out the shoulders. And we will go to do some V-ups and pike-ups. Looks like this. You start in your hollow body position. You want to either touch both feet or open into a straddle. I like to alternate them. If you only want to do one of them, that's also fine. But legs are straight. Use arms, legs, same time. Let's do 10. Nice. Nice. Okay, if you have a chair. It's a bit easier to do it with the chair. I'm gonna get one. I wanna talk one time about the rib alignment. That's just really hard to understand. You can use a block overhead. That helps me a lot to keep pushing because I feel some weight. Could be also done with a stick, or I don't know, you have a bar of weights in the gym. I want to find my shoulder alignment and position, and I want to move from both directions, slightly closed to an open position, and from slightly arched to a straight alignment. Just find it's a bit easier to do that in seated because I feel a bit better where I am. See if you can feel how the ribs kind of push back, and we have to get the shoulders open. Shoulders a little bit more open. Find the back of the shoulders. And it should feel like a fight. When the ribs are pushing back, the shoulders want to come forward, and we have to avoid that by keeping the shoulders here and keeping the ribs pushing back. Try it one more time. I'll watch. Nice. Good. And it's really hard to just do the ribs and not the whole core. This is a drill that you can do without being warmed up and just do a minute of finding the ribs. I find that very helpful before I do any handstands to just remind my body I want to have the ribs in the game. Okay, now you can slowly warm up your handstand. Find a moment to just arrive on your hands, straight handstand, any shape that you feel like you want to do. Whatever you want to start your practice today with. See if you can keep that feeling in your ribs that you just had and find it. And even if you don't have it in your kick up or in your shape, try to find it in your upside down brain. I feel like when I'm upside down, I feel different. I need to understand what I'm doing when I'm upside down. Nice. Nice rib alignment, Paulina. Nice. It is a lot easier to balance a handstand with like ribs out, slightly closed shoulders, mini pike, than a really nice straight handstand. Nice. Looking good. Some of us, that rib alignment is also easier to feel in like straddle or tuck because the legs are not in such a vulnerable place being completely straight. So feel free also to try that, to just feel the difference. Nice. Nice tuck up, Paulina. Good. Nice. Good, Eric. We're already going so much into detail in this class. So that means you've understood so much about your handstand already that we can work on all these details. not so easy to understand that in one go. Nice. Nice kick up, Ivana. Very soft, really nice. That's it, Eric. Slow, slow, slow. Nice. Okay. For the next one, I like to use blocks. If you don't have 2 blocks, you can also just imagine you have 2 blocks here. One of my favorite straddle drills. Most of you have done it already. You place the blocks underneath the knees, and the straddle can be a straddle that you're still able to move in. And from here, we just want to extend our legs fully, really pressing into the back of the knees and the blocks to lift the legs. Because we have that higher surface in the back of the knees, it should be a little easier to lift the legs than if you would just do it by yourself because you're working against the resistance. You can keep doing this to just open the hips and also using the active leg engagement, or you can really push into the back of the knees and lift yourself a bit out of it, come back down and rebend. And then you also use the outer hip strength a lot more. Oh, crap. 3 to 5 repetitions is totally enough. That leg engagement that you feel by lifting on the block or really straightening your legs is the leg engagement you want to have in your straddle as well. Now let's try to play with that in our straddle. You find your straddle however you want, and then just have the feet and the knees slightly bent, and then find that stretched out feeling in the back of the knees. You can go between both and just try to observe what happens in your pelvis and your lower back when you're kind of bent or when you're really stretched out. I want to have you observe it first before I show you from the side where it's kind of obvious. Give it a go, try to feel it. And it's not even like really bending the knees, it's more like not straightening the legs all the way. Feel also free to do it laying on the back once on the floor if you just want to feel it without being on your hands. Open the legs a little later, Eric. Get the hips there first. Yes, nice, much better. Nice. And you can do it quite slow. You can find your straddle however you're used to and then move slowly from there. Also let me know if you have any idea what happens in the pelvis and lower back. Nice. Start a tiny bit more forward, Eric, with the shoulders. Yes. Nice. Then you don't have to swing into your shoulders. Nice, Paulina. Nice. That was good, Ivana. Okay, anyone has idea what this does in the pelvis and the lower back?
Losing a bit the muscle, like I lose the attention to it. I go there and like closing my shoulders if I do it.
Mm-hmm. I
But then,
also,
like
yeah.
because if I like straighten arms and like open shoulders, I need to focus also on the legs. But if I focus then on the legs relaxing, I also relaxing the shoulders and get then close shoulders.
Interesting. Because I feel like when I relax the legs, I sink more into my lower back and I arch a bit in the lower back. But like that's why I was curious what you guys think. And of course, it also depends a bit. I'm gonna show you how it looks from me from the side. If I'm a little bit bent, it looks like my butt is hanging out. If I'm really straightened, my legs, I feel my ribs and my lower back are much longer. Here it's more like hanging, and here it's really stretching out. But of course, I'm also very focused on not moving my shoulders at all. I think if I would have done that probably a year ago, the shoulders might have moved as well, as I'm changing the center and the gravity. So try it one more time to feel that nice long lower back, and stretch out the legs as much as you can to the sides. And for that, it doesn't matter where your middle split is, right? It can be a little higher, it can be a little lower, like stretching out the legs. Even when I pretend my arms are my legs, it creates that long chest. And that happens in the hip and pelvis as well. And again, if you just want to do it laying down on the ground, show you that one as well in case you want to try it later. If I'm micro bending the knees, then it's very easy for me to slide my hand underneath. If I'm really stretching out and pushing the ribs back, there's no space for my hand to go through. And it just creates that length in the pelvis. And even just by having the knees bent and really stretching out, my pelvis activates. You can see it. It's tiny, but the pelvis going forward or being very active. It's not much, but it's enough to bring you out of your balance. Nice. Yes. Really nice. And of course, it is a bit more exhausting to stretch out the knees fully, especially if the back of your legs are not as flexible. But it gives a stability in your whole body. Last one before we move on. Nice. Okay, we do a floor drill first. We do one laying on the ground to just feel the activation of the ribs and the pelvis. When my legs are in one line with the hips, the legs, the pelvis and the ribs don't have to be so active. If I'm activating the ribs and the pelvis, it makes it easier for my legs to come closer. And I only want to do the leg movement from bringing the ribs back and the pelvis up, but not actually lifting the pelvis. If this is too much with the legs straight, you can also do it with micro bend in the legs. So just really feel it in the core, not so much in the legs. 2 or 3 is enough. Try to really feel that action pushing back and undoing it. And undoing doesn't mean you have to arch. It's just really feeling consciously how the ribs and pelvis come closer, and then undo it. And then come up into a seated position with the knees bent close to you. Try to activate that connection where ribs and pelvis are close, and then try to lift the legs up. You can do one leg at a time, but you want to, the whole time when you're lifting your legs, keeping the connection of the ribs and the pelvis. Nothing changes in the body, not that I'm pushing off to lift the legs. I want to stay in the front with the shoulders and the hips in one line. This is the alignment that will help you in your handstand to do the same thing. I don't care if your legs don't lift. I care if you feel this hugging together. Nice. Okay, let's try to find that in our handstand just for a moment. We'll not do too many of these because they're quite exhausting. Let me show you from the side. You find your nice channel, and then you try to bring the ribs and the hips closer and bring it back up. It's only ribs and hips, and let it go. The legs are not really moving. The legs are moving because I'm bringing this closer. See if you can feel it once. Worst case, when you activate it, you come down to your feet. That's also fine. I just want you to experience it once upside down. Yes, nice. That's it, Paulina. Find your straddle first and then move from there. Yes, good. Nice. It's a tiny detail, but it will help you later to do your negative press or positive press a lot easier. In the beginning, you can only do a little bit, and later you might be able to access a lot more. Okay, with that in mind, we want to work on jumping through our straddle all the way to straight. If you want the same reverse, park in your straddle, pull the ribs and pelvis together so you can land close to your wrists. Try to go in one motion up, and on the way down, park in the straddle to use the active compression that we practiced before. Nice. When I'm doing these straddle ups, I have to remind myself that the straddle wants to go the biggest circle possible and more into the back of the body. Otherwise, if I'm not consciously thinking about it, I end up in the front in a little pike position. Especially if you have enough space to do that. Nice, that was perfect, Eric. Yes, much better, Paulina. Yeah, Ivana, trust the back. The last one was great. Just continue there. Yes, yes, yes. I think if you just finish it to straight, you will be in a perfect spot. It feels when we pull the leg so much back that it's almost a bit too much back, but you will find it at the top a lot easier. Nice, looking really good. Yeah, nice. That's a lot harder with a lot of furniture around. Yes. Then at the top also, when you go through the straddle, think of stretching out to the ceiling to correct any little misalignments when you arrive in your straight handstand. Nice, super good. Keeps getting better. Nice. Often I feel we fall out of a handstand because we're searching and we're doubting ourselves. And the more we're just like, okay, I know how to do a straddle jump all the way to straight, the easier the body can follow. Yes, that's a Divana. Perfect. Nice. Good. That mindset makes a big difference. Last one for the straddle, if you like. I give you two options to work on this. You can just do the drill by kind of starting in your plank, really sliding close to the body and then sliding out to the side and then all the way back. Or you can find a surface that is a little higher. And you want to be quite close to it. You start with the legs together and then you go out into the straddle and bring it back. Lean and pull and bring it back. 3 repetitions is enough. And then we stop doing compression drills for today. I believe that compression is really the key to making your handstand practice feel very reliable because we're using the core at all times. And then the rest of the body has the help. Especially when you lean off, and that's hard to understand. When you lean, try to pull ribs and core together and use that to lift your legs instead of lifting your legs. It should come from the lean and using your core that the leg lifts. To see how you can find that with the core. Finish the lean first, Eric. Your hips are not there. Wait a lot longer. Wait a lot longer. You can bend the knees. You can do it.
What do you mean with lean? Like you mean like bringing the hip over?
Yeah,
What?
and wait, I'm gonna show you what you're doing, and then
Please.
you are here, and then you're trying to lift the legs from here, which is really heavy. You wanna like lean to the front. Here my legs are light. I don't have to lift my legs because I'm leaning over enough. My hips are here, and then my legs lift. Try to find that lean. It's actually more a lean when the hips and ribs are connected, then your legs lift off. You don't have to lift your legs.
Okay. And one question, like how much can I go forward with my shoulders? Because I don't want to planche either, right? So like
there's a mini planche, but only as much as your shoulders are going over your fingertips. But let me guide you one. So I'm going to tell you.
Yeah.
I try to get it more from the ribs and the pelvis than planching so much. Yeah. Keep the head in. And now lean with the hips, lean with the hips, lean with the hips. Yeah, that was much better, but you can still lean more with the hips. Like it feels like the hips are behind the shoulders, not perpendicular on top of the shoulders. Also for you, Ivana, way more with the hips. The legs, try to not be impatient with the legs. Yeah. So the more the hips go over, right, the more we have to push the shoulders in like crazy. The shoulders, when the hips go over, want to go with the hips, and that's the work we need to do, because if you're too much over, then your heels lift off and it feels very uncomfortable in your wrists. Last one. More hips, more hips. Yes, better. Even more hips. For everyone, it's more hips. Try to make the goal that the legs are light and not that you lift the legs up.
Okay. Is there one thing you think about just making your like back long, like kind of, or like where you like to have a like more certain feeling in the, okay, there's the point where I can finally start with the legs?
Like it feels similar here. I never start the
Huh?
legs. The legs, like the legs are a cause of all the other things. And then I
Okay.
choose if I open in a straddle or if I keep them in a pike or in a tuck. But
Okay.
like for me, the foundation of the shoulders and the ribs are similar, but because the hips are so much back, it feels like the seated pike position, basically. And in that one also, the lower back feels quite long, and I have to work a lot in the shoulders to keep the shoulders there. That's kind of the starting position. Yeah. And even in that drill, when we do it seated, it's a lot of work to keep the shoulders open.
Yeah, I feel like hard to move the hips somehow. I don't know. I feel like I connect with the shoulder, but not with the hips.
Yeah, like the more the hips go over, the more you really have to push the shoulders in. And then it almost feels a little bit like a back bend is the wrong thing. It feels like my butt is behind my shoulders, but I have to really actively open the shoulders. That's why it's kind of, I guess, similar to a back bend feeling, but the back is not arched or in a back bend. Yeah. Keep the shoulders there, keep the shoulders pushing towards the box, and then let the hips go over. Yes, better. Nice. And then again, like now you're all using a quite low surface, right? If this one is maybe a bit too low, then if you would try it from a table, it would be a lot easier because it's easier that the shoulders stay open. But put them in your pocket. They're very tiring if you do 20 of them. I will post in the next day a lot of like straddle compression drills because I just filmed an hour of them. So you can get more inspiration with that. Nice. Let's have a moment to just find kind of goddess stand and twist your shoulders and your spine. And interlace the hands behind the head and neck and go in between squat and forward fold. And then hold behind your legs. Let the head and neck be long and loose. Roll back up to standing. Okay. I want to show you a little sequence on the ground. That's the best way to see it. Okay, we're in our handstand. We find our stack, or you can go immediately into stack. Then we want to open the knee to the side, and that might mean your knee is up here. What we don't want is to rotate the hip. And then from here, you can either just stay in this kind of tree pose, or open into straddle, or use the straight leg to bend over to the side to work a bit the side compression. Straight on the other side, we start in stack, open into tree. Either go to the bend leg to use the straight leg, or finding your straddle from here. I will show you how that looks in handstand. So in my stack, the knee is to the front. When I open it to the side, it faces out to the side. I could go a little bit like a tree that goes to the side, or I can go from here into straddle. The first option where I'm going with the straight leg as a way to the side is the heavier one. But the second one with the straddle is a little bit more accessible. See if you can find that rotation for your hip without having any change in your handstand. If you just get to the tree pose, that's also fine. It's more a hip isolation exercise. So first is a stack with the knee bent to the front, then a tree pose. And again, you could also do that standing, right? This is the stack, this is the tree pose. If you would go to the side, you would go to the bent leg. With the straddle, it doesn't work so well, but with the straight leg. Falling tree, or I don't know, banana tree to the side. I don't know how to call that shape. Nice. Nice. Especially, yeah, or like Paulina put a diamond before she went to straddle. That's also nice. No, I love to see different variations.
I can remind the one 2 weeks ago, like one leg and the other.
Yeah. It's a bit like gymnastics in my head when I'm doing different flows. I think there's also one, if I remember correctly, where you go from here into the tree and then you just kind of cross it in front and go to straight. Just be playful. See what you can do from the tree pose, what kind of feels natural to go next, or just combining the stack and the tree pose. Make sure when you go from one position to the next to have like a breath. It's very tempting to rush and then we lose our alignment. Like always, try both sides. Nice. Feel that outer hip. You want to go to the bent leg, Eric. The straight leg is harder. I don't know. Both is possible. I'm just saying the one to the straight leg is a lot harder. But you can also do that. Find it easier to bring the stack not in a too compressed position, meaning like the foot on the inside of the knee, then it's also easier to go into the tree. If the knee is very low, it's quite hard to move from there into tree. But one more go if you like, also on the other side. Nice. Looks very good. Okay, let's do some flexi stuff. If you know that you need blocks for support, grab them. We'll do a little bit of split warm-up. So I'm just gonna also show it with the blocks so you have the idea. What doesn't help you in the split to lean a lot to the front, So you want to get shoulders and hips in one line, and then let's just go from here into the half split and into the low lunge where you really keep hips and shoulders aligned. For this transition, I like in the lunge to have the front foot already in front of my knee because that allows me to sink deeper into the hip. If you need support for the knee, feel free to give that to yourself as well. After a few movements, you could just decide to walk the front foot a bit more forward, but keeping the blocks and the hips and work that alignment. If you know, you can go a little lower. Feel free to go towards your split and make sure the blocks and your support are in one line with the hips. This takes the stretch out, and for handstands, we need this alignment. If it helps to kind of point and flex a bit. I feel like when I'm flexed, I'm more up. When I'm pointing, I can really stretch both legs out to the side. Or not out to the side, front and back. And release, shake both legs out before we do the other side. Start going from a lunge that's slightly wider to the half split a few times. Just get used to the range of motion and our hamstrings and legs. And if you want to get a bit wider, free to go as slow as you feel good today. Work a bit with flexing and pointing. See what that does. Kind of what we did earlier in the straddle. Can you pull legs in opposite directions? Release. We'll do it once more standing, and before we do it upside down, finding, let's do it actually here, finding kind of double stack, and then get the back of the foot down, and just try to push into the back foot, so the knee hovers, and bring it down. One more time, push, feel the hips activating. Lower, other side. Small strength building exercise. Find your 90 degrees and then stretch out the knee. Hover. Release. One more time. That kind of intense feeling that you feel in the front of the hip is something that you want to have in your handstand as well. I give you two options. You can either just kick up, finding your double stack, or you can really work on straightening out both legs and finding split legs and work between both. Just want to make sure you see the legs. So when the legs are bent, it's quite easy to hold the balance for most of us. When we straighten, imagine that you're pushing the walls in the front and back, and that the legs also come a little higher. Because what I see most when I teach this is that the lower leg stays quite low. So let the lower leg come a bit higher, that you can even the front and back split leg out. If you can find that still the same activation in the front of your hip that you felt in the drill on the floor. Yes, nice. That looks amazing, Eric. Back leg a bit more back if you can. Yes, nice. And it is a bit scary to go so much back with the back leg, but there's also, it helps you to keep the hips and shoulders aligned. That's why training the split with the shoulders and hips aligned, it creates a similar feeling.
No arch.
No arch, but it feels like an arch because like it and it feels honestly the same to me when I have the split on the floor and shoulders and hips are on top. It also feels like my back is arched. If you can find the reach with the back leg for today. Double stack or split is also very nice to work on your weight shifts if that is in your practice. Nice. Even if you just get the same sensation of just working between bending and extending the legs. Let the hips come a bit further back, Paulina. You're stopping them before they arrive. Yes, hips back, shoulders open. Yes, nice. Good, good, good. Connect to the core, connect to the core. Nice, good. Much better in the hips and shoulders. It's a slow process. Sometimes I watch videos from these like crazy contortion people that can like flop in and out of very bendy shapes and very straight shapes. I think that's like 10 years of practice now. Try it on both sides, even if you are feeling one side is more open. The shape is also nice to practice with that you do belly to wall and you really lean with the back leg, really finding that lean, and you can push in the front leg. Here you can even take the head out if you're like, this is a bit too much. Now to do it free in the room, try to find the square hips and the reaching with the back leg, just using the wall. Or try it once with the wall and then try it free in the room. I really like that to understand the pattern in the body. Nice, slow adjustments. It's very fragile if you move fast. Nice. Just gonna show it also once for the people who do the recording. You can keep doing what you're doing. But if you would, for example, be in a double stack and go towards a one-arm shift, you will lean with the hips. The shape stays the same, and then shift and bring it back. The leg that's in the front is the side you're going to. That's why if you go to the other side, you have to also switch the legs. Not mandatory, just another exercise where you can take that, and that would be the same with the split legs. Let's all try it once with what I showed before with the wall, so that you get that reaching out feeling with the back, where one foot is on the wall a little higher than with the hips, and then start with the push in the shoulders, really reach back. And try the same on the other side. Feel the inner thighs connecting. It's almost like you're stretching your split upside down. Should feel really good in your hips to just finish up that sequence. Nice, that's it, Ivana. And especially if you really pull with the back leg at a certain point, it will feel like your lower leg is on the wall, kind of wants to lift off the wall. Yes, nice. You shouldn't push yourself off the wall. Reach with that back leg. Nice. Don't break the glass door. Nice. Looks great. Nice. I don't know. I'm a weird person, but I like stretching in my handstand. So because you have gravity to work on your stretch. Okay. You can do this drill if you like. And then we do enhanced ends as well. You want to squeeze the block between your thigh and your ribs to just make sure you use the compression and you bring the straight leg close to your knee. And then you can switch the block, try the same, start pushing the block on the bent knee and bring the second leg to it. In your handstand, it is the same. You can do it with the block, you don't have to do it with the block. But the idea is that you start from your tuck, and then from your tuck, you straighten one leg out. And you can switch right and left. If you want to do this with the wall, you can start with the belly to the wall, maybe a little bit closer than you would prefer. So you have a pike where you bend one leg and then try to float the lower leg up. Actually, I'm going to show you this from the side if you want to see it. Otherwise, start already what you're doing. Hope the light is not too shitty. Be a bit closer, one leg is straight, one is bent, and then the lower leg floats off the wall. Same on the other side, you bend the leg, you float. This is going to train that active shoulder opening and keeping the ribs in the game when you do that. If you're too tired to do it in your handstand, just repeat the drill on the floor one more time with the block squeezing there and build that pattern of using the ribs and the squeeze of the thigh to the chest. Start with the shoulders more forward. Yes, that's better. Nice. It's adding some weight if you have a cork block. Just be aware of that. If you have these super light ones, it's much easier to jump up. Maybe save the block for another time.
It's slippery.
Yeah, maybe save the block for another time. Just try it once going from tuck. Nice. Also, if there's some other shape you want me to look at or that you just feel like practicing right now, feel free to do that. So we take the last couple minutes to do what you want to do. The compression was great, Eric. Just try to keep the shoulders in the same spot. And that is hard when the compression is so strong. So maybe don't go so low with the legs that you're not compromising your shoulders so much. It's a lot of work in the back of the shoulders. I feel like I work a lot on my shoulders and my back bends and everything, and I still fight in the shoulders to keep them there. It's a lot of weight. Yeah, keep the shoulders open, Paulina. Shoulders, shoulders, shoulders. Especially when we get tired. Yes, keep the shoulders there. Nice. Yes. Nice. Fight for the shoulders more than anything. That's it, Eric. Good. Now it feels more satisfying if the legs are really low. But then the wrists after a while and the shoulders are not going to be so happy. Yeah, a little bit more with the hips over, Ivana. Like before you push the shoulders fully up, let the hips just roll a little bit more. Imagine it's the easiest thing to jump into a tech after 1 hour of handstand. No, but like use the rolling of the body. Let's find the ease in the jumping in. Yes, nice, so much better. Yeah, keep the hips there, Pauline, and the shoulders, hips and shoulders. Just focus on that. Don't worry about the legs. Nice. And that what you feel in the shoulders there is what you also want to feel when you're free in the room. That's why I really like the belly to wall stuff, because you have to activate that in the shoulders. Nice, Ivana, that's it. It's really interesting to observe what that changes when we're just like, it's easy, we'll just roll up. Nice. Okay, since everyone is down, let's do a little stretch. In your puppy pose, you want to bring the right arm under the left, so you invite a little twist the right ear to the shoulders. See if you can drop all the weight and release the outside of the shoulders. Try not to carry any weight in your head. Long deep breath. Soften into the floor. And slowly come up so you can switch to the other side. Maybe the side feels completely different. See how you can release the shoulders instead of tweaking it. For me, the side is a lot more flexible, so I have to be a bit more aware on how I position the shoulder to not injure it. Bring it back up. Both hands to the front. And then roll all the way down onto the belly. Left arm out. Rotate into the pack stretch. Same on the other side. Bring it back to center. Roll to open the chest. And then bring yourself back to the heels. Give yourself a moment in a child's pose where the knees are together and on your fingertips. As you're crawling out to the front, you also want to push the hips and the sacrum back to create that nice long feeling in your back and your neck. Maybe after a few breaths, you crawl the fingertips a bit more forward. And then roll it back up. For the conditioning today, I would like to work on the ribs by using the belly to the wall handstand. So all I want you to feel is pulling the ribs off the wall and trying to create that nice straight body. So most of you know it, I show it anyway, so you have a minute longer break. You want to walk as close as you are comfortable to the wall. And then bending your head in, trying to just push the ribs back. I could do this like leaning into the wall, wouldn't do anything. Or I can just be on my tippy toes, finding the shoulders and the ear connected and pushing the ribs back into my spine. If it's too exhausting for you now to do it upside down, try to do it standing up, really pushing the ribs back and keeping the shoulders open. Okay, I will take the time. Let's start in 3, 2, and 1. And as much as you activate the ribs, You want to activate them only as much as you can still breathe. Feel the back of the ribs pushing back, and it should feel hard in the shoulders to stay open. Keep the breath going. You're already halfway through. Do it standing up, Eric. Stand up, back to the wall. Or do it on the floor. Nice. Keep reaching, elongating the whole body. Stretch out. Just 10 more seconds. 3, 2, and 1. Slowly find your way out of it. Really good, everyone. For a second, I didn't know if the picture was frozen or you guys are just staying in your alignment. Cool. Let's take a moment to bend the knees facing the palms towards you. Bend one elbow at a time. If you don't feel enough, you can bring the hips more forward and do the same thing here. The neck can release down. You bring it back. Hold onto your knees with the knees together. As you round and roll back, you can just hold on and create space between the shoulder blades. As you arch forward, you can open the knees so you have a little bit more space. 2 more like that. Round and curl. Inhale, lift and open. 1 more. Let's come into a kneeling position. Back of the hands next to your knees. Wiggle your hands a bit to release all the tension in the forearms. Shake your wrists out. Any other thing that feels good, give that to yourself. Thank you all. Amazing work today.